Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And the team that holds the record for the greatest margin of victory in an ODI game in terms of runs now holds the record for the greatest margin of defeat in an ODI game in terms of the amount of deliveries remaining in the game. Not a great day for the Indian ODI side. They were outplayed by Australia today, and this was a thrashing, to be polite. Now, we saw the same elements from the previous game where India was 16 for 3 and the wickets that fell today, especially of the top 7. And that was that India did not succumb to great swing bowling as much as it would seem to be the case. Yes, there were some good deliveries, but even, for example, you saw the deliveries that dismissed Suryakumar Yadav and KL Rahul, where they did straighten up, but they could have negotiated those better. Apart from that, there were shots that were in an ill-disciplined nature, and that's why they lost their wickets. So, credit to Australia, of course. It's not their fault the batsmen responded in that way. And because of that, in the end, India were bowled out very cheaply in their first innings quite early on, I think in 26 overs, so just over halfway through the innings. And in the second innings, I will say that there was considerably less movement compared to the first innings. I thought both Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj were a bit short in their lengths, and that's why it was easier for the Australian openers, even though there wasn't that movement available that there was in the first innings. And having said that, like I said, they were too short on their lengths. And also, when you're defending 118 in an ODI game, it is difficult when you've been bowled out in half the allotted overs. Had India batted for close to 50 overs, then they would have also played in a situation where the surface would have eased out. And had they not lost too many wickets at the start, then they could have got a 300-odd score and they could have challenged Australia in this game. So I wouldn't really factor that in too much in terms of the conditions to say that maybe India were dealt the kind of the rough side of things, because in the end they were dismissed because of bad shot selection, not necessarily because of elite swing bowling. But on Mitchell Starc, a 5-wicket haul for him. He picked up 3 early wickets in the previous game as well to get his side back in the game. And yeah, he's been very good this series with 8 wickets. Like I said, the wickets themselves have been because of the indiscipline from the batsmen, but apart from maybe the wicket of Mohammad Siraj at the end. But yeah, I mean, you can't really fault him for that, so yeah, that's on that. And yeah, I mean, India, I think that you can't really take away too much from this game because of what happened. And I don't think there is a need to panic already. There's a talk on, do they struggle playing left arm seam? I don't think they do. When they've conceded a few wickets to left arm seam in the past, you saw against Reece Topley when India toured England a few months ago. Well, yeah, quite a while ago now, almost a year ago. And now on this occasion where they conceded 5 in this game and 3 in the previous game, I don't think it's necessarily because they struggle to play against left arm seam. I think it's because of bad shot selection, which isn't great on their part. So yeah, I mean, if they really had a weakness against left arm seam, then I guess there would be a reason for a panic. But if it's just bad shot selection, then there's nothing you can do as a viewer. It's just kind of what happens in the game. You have seen occasions in recent times where certain players really have had statement contributions, and India have posted some very good totals. So I do think the elements are there in this side to be a very good side. You saw the innings that KL Rahul played in the previous game. You've seen how Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma have been going at the top of the order, and I do think the opening partnership is settled now. I do think it should be those two going into the World Cup. Mohammad Shami has been excellent, and Mohammad Siraj has been good as well in quite a few of the games apart from this one. So I just think that this game is just a bad game. All these teams have the bad games, and if your shot selection is not great on the day, if you bat first, for example, you'll be bowled out cheaply. And in turn, if your bowlers the morale goes down and then you don't hit the correct lengths, I mean, it's something that just happens. So yeah, that's on that. And the reason why I made this video is because it's not to review the game because there really is nothing to review. I mean, it was very straightforward how this game went. I think, look, I've said this for quite a while that I think that in all three formats of the game, this Indian side isn't too far away from really being that brilliant side that are the world beaters. I think that even now, you can think with the players they already have. I mean, they could string up a performance, and I do expect them to get to at least the semi-finals in this World Cup. Although you would think that would be a failure considering the player pool that India has, and that too they're playing at home as well. And that's why in this video I'd like to suggest my 11 that I would play in the 2023 ODI World Cup as things stand right now. So for the openers, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, I think that should be fairly self-explanatory. One game doesn't really change too much, and I think both of those have been quite good in this format, especially Shubman Gill has had a great start to his career. So yeah, I think that is fairly self-explanatory. And now at number 3. Now you may be thinking, right, why have I mentioned this slot a lot of times? But I do feel that if you're looking at the teams, if you forecast what they would do from now, the only team that I actually think India would really struggle against from a batting point of view is Pakistan. You've seen the seamers that have emerged, some young seamers that have emerged. You've got Ihsanullah from the PSL as well, who's emerged in this latest season. And I think that in that case, you need solidity at number 3. This is not like a T20 game where you can slightly forecast to say, right, the game will probably be in that 180 periphery. You could slightly manage things, how it goes. You maybe even chasing 160 odd a few times. And then you can slightly manage things during the middle overs and then kick on at the end. And this game is a much more stretched out game, of course. And you can't just be... It's not easy to pace yourself over such a long period of time if the lineup is not solid. And for that, I will be bringing in a player, if I were the selectors, and I know they won't do this, but I'm going to say this anyway. I would be bringing a player who I've mentioned that who should start in the test side. He averages 82 in the domestic circuit, and that is Mayank Agarwal. I think in T20s, opening is his best slot, but I think in ODIs he can bat at number 3. And if you're looking at the solidity now in this top 3, you've got Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill. And I just think that glue at number 3, Mayank Agarwal right now is at the perfect position to take up that mantle. It's such an important position in ODI cricket. You've got teams like Pakistan in terms of Babar Azam scoring all those runs, and Kane Williamson at home, especially in ODIs. You've got Joe Root or David Malan even, who's filling that role up for England. Number 3, if your number 3 is not scoring runs and occupying the crease for a long amount of time in most days, things aren't going to go well for you, especially in a tournament. And it's for that reason I've got someone in who can play pace and spin very well. And I think that he deserves the chance to bat up number 3 in the side. You may think I might bring him in from nowhere, but he didn't really do anything wrong to get dropped from the test side. And like I've said, you've got the player pool to look past contributions. And as long as the players are in form, Mayank Agarwal is in form, and therefore you can include him in this bracket. I think, what do they bring to the side? And I think in terms of stability at number 3, there are only 2 players really now who could bat number 3 in this case. And that is Shubman Gill, who is the opener. And therefore there's Mayank Agarwal only left. So I've got him in the side. Now the injury situation on Shreyas Iyer means that I don't know whether... Hopefully he will be available at that point in time. But you never know. But hopefully, if he is available, I've got him at number 4. KL Rahul at number 5. He seems to be really thriving at that position, so I've got him there. And then you've got Hardik Pandya at 6, Jadeja at 7. So you look at that top 7, and you think, what was it lacking before? With all the experimentation that's going on, it's been lacking that solidity in some cases. Well, now even with 1 or 2 changes here, you've got a side that has that noticeably more solidity than the side, for example, that started today and in the previous game. And at number 7 is an interesting one because I actually think that In terms of these, if you're going to play a seam bowling all-rounder, I really would like Deepak Chahar to be fit. I am nothing against him, but I'm not convinced by Shardul Thakur in ODI cricket so far. The only problem is Deepak Chahar is hardly ever fit, and that's something that you're going to have to consider. In an ideal scenario, if he is fit, then he surely starts at number 8 rather, since Jadeja's batting at 7. You've got then that's kind of all the batting you really need. Mohammad Shami at 9, Arshdeep Singh in at 10, and Kuldeep Yadav in at 11. I think he is the starting wrist spinner at this point in time, and I think that it's vital to have a wrist spinner in this format. To picking up middle wickets in the middle overs is crucial for any side to win an ODI game, and I think Kuldeep Yadav as of now is a great choice to kind of bank on to do that. So yeah, that is this side, subject to injuries, of course. We should see how things go. I really wish Prasidh Krishna was available all this time. Like I said in my test series review video, or test match review video, I actually thought that he should be the... I thought he would have been Ishant Sharma's replacement in the test side, and he would have been a regular in the test side. I think with the attributes that he has, he truly is a fantastic bowler, and especially playing in India will help him a lot as well, but he can't bowl anywhere. If you've got Mohammad Shami and Prasidh Krishna, along with maybe Arshdeep Singh or Deepak Chahar in the same side, that is just fantastic. I don't know why India have kind of, moved away from Bhuvneshwar Kumar, it seems like. I mean, in the T20 World Cup, there was a notion that, right, what if it goes badly for him at the death? But before the England game, he went at 5.67 overall, bowled I think 2 maidens up front. And generally, even though he didn't have to bowl the death for a lot of times, when he did bowl the death, he didn't disappear. He tried his best not to disappear, and he didn't. So even then, before the Asia Cup, he was doing fine at the death. It was only after the Asia Cup and beyond that his form fell away at the death. So I just think it doesn't make too much sense to move away from such a bowler, especially given the fact that he's not too far away from regaining that skill set back as well. It's not too long ago that he was still doing well at that phase. So that's on that. So the selection issues have been there, and I know that they won't play Mayank well, but I'm just saying the players that I think would be an ideal fit for this team. Like I said, a lot of sides in ODI cricket leading up into this World Cup right now don't seem to have too much clarity. I actually think the front runners are India, and also Pakistan could do something if they bat first and get kind of what the 290, 300 kind of score. Then they've got the bowling attack to certainly do something, and I actually think that they'll have an easier game against India, especially it being a more drawn out game than a T20, especially if they bat first. But it's how they'll do against other sides, which is the thing that they have struggled. They don't get quite that kick, so let's see how they will do. But apart from that, there aren't too many front runners, and because of that, I do think India and Pakistan will get into the semi-finals this time around. But yeah, I mean, India's not too far away from getting a brilliant team that really are the front runners to win the title in all formats of the game. It's just certain selections here and there, but unfortunately the selectors just don't seem to learn at all, and that's what's costing the team on the odd occasion. I think since they are playing at home, you've got a lot of the side that still are in relatively decent form, and that's what's been keeping them afloat, and that's why until now I think they've won every ODI in 2023. But I think that selections do need to get better in order for there to be an upward trajectory, because right now it just seems like you play 2 or 3 players in the side, they don't do anything, and then the moment some other side that you wouldn't think would challenge them as much compared to some other sides, then they score big during that, and it's almost like you can't drop them because of the contribution, and that needs to change, especially in the World Cup. Yes, and that's on that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share the video with a friend. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?